Welcome back to part two of this two-part lesson on solving equations with variables on both sides. If you saw the first part, you would know that this second part is, we have four examples here involving fractions. Um, so how do you solve this one to get x by itself? There's no simplifying. You do have addition, but no subtraction to the variable. You are adding that 6 to the x. Remember, they're on the same side of the equal sign, so therefore that's like a positive 6, or like adding 6. Okay. So how do you get rid of that positive 6? You subtract 6, and you subtract 6 from both sides. Drop down a positive 1/2 x, which is equal to negative 1 minus 6 is a negative 7. And remember, the next step here is there's no division, but you are multiplying by 1/2. The opposite of multiplying by 1/2 is dividing by 1/2, or this is what I recommend, is that the same thing as dividing by 1/2 is multiplying by the reciprocal, 2/1. Multiplying by, now I'm not going to put 2/1 on the right side because remember 2/1 is equal to just 2. So therefore, if I multiplied by 2/1 here, I'm still multiplying by 2/1 here, even though I don't put the fraction bar with a 1 there. And the only reason I didn't do that is because, look at this. Negative 7 times 2, negative 14. You don't need that fraction bar there. But over here on the left side, you do, because you want to reduce those both to 1s, and then multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. And you have the invisible 1 in front of x. So x is equal to negative 14. Let me see you try to work this one out on your own. 13 is equal to 1/3 x minus 7. And remember that this is 1/3x. My computer program won't let me make the fraction look like that. So go ahead and pause the video. Pause the video, work it out, hit play, and then check your solution with mine. All right, 13 is equal to 1/3 x minus 7. No simplifying because these are not like terms. There is subtraction but no addition. So here's the subtraction, which is negative 7. What's the opposite of negative 7? Positive 7. So we add that 7 to both sides. And on the left side, 13 plus 7 is 20, which is equal to 1/3 x. And in order to get rid of 1/3, we're going to multiply it by the reciprocal of 3/1. And those cancel, leaving x. And if we multiply by the reciprocal of 3/1, we're going to do the same thing on the left side, which leaves, which is just 3/1 is 3. So therefore we have 60. X is equal to 60. And looking here at this example, the first step to simplify is distributing a positive 2/3 to everything. So positive 2/3 times h is 2/3 h, and positive 2/3 times negative 3. Well, you know, a positive times a negative is a negative, and if we have 2/3 times 3, that's 3/1. You can multiply straight across, which gives you 6/3, which you should know what that is. That's 2. Or you could have looked and said, you know what? I see a 3 on top and a 3 on bottom, so I can reduce each one of those by 3. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into this 3 on the bottom once. And so then when we multiply straight across, we have a lot easier numbers to work with. 2 times 1 is 2, and then on the bottom, 1 times 1 is 1, and I don't need to put the 1 there because it's just 2/1. And that's where we put it. And remember that this was a positive number, positive 2/3 times a positive h, which gives us a positive 2/3 h. That positive 2/3 h now looks like a plus once you put it into that equation. We can still simplify more because we have a 6 and a -2. What is 6 minus 2? 4. And then we have 2/3 h. And now, no more simplifying. Is there subtraction? No, there is addition. Remember, the positive 4 is being added to the positive 2/3 h. So let's get rid of it by subtracting 4 from both sides of the equal sign. 2/3 h is equal to -2 minus 4 is -6. And you should notice that the opposite of multiplying by 2/3 is dividing by 2/3, which is going to save you a moment if you say, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Dividing fractions is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. And we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. You have to put the -6/1 there, that way you have fractions. On the left side, those 3's cancel out and make 1's. The 2's cancel out and make 1's, and we have 1/1, which is just 1. So we have the invisible 1 in front of the h. And now, -6/1 times 3/2. I know that there's a number that goes into 6 and 2. That number would be 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 2 once. We have a negative times a positive, which is a negative. On the top, 3 times 3 is 9. And on the bottom, 1 times 1, which is 1. I do not need to put the -9/1 because it's just going to leave us with a -9. And this last one, I want you to try this last one on your own. You're probably going to have to do some, I think you're going to either have to add or subtract some fractions, so you have to find a common denominator there. Pause the video and then check your solution with mine. Actually, let me bring it over here a little bit. Alright, so what we have is positive 3/4 times y, which is positive 3/4 y. And then we have positive 3/4 times 3. So that's going to be 3/4 times positive 3/1. And remember, we can't cancel these 3's because they're both on top. One has to be on top, one has to be on bottom in order to reduce them before multiplication. So we just multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. And that's positive numbers being multiplied. Positive 3/4 is positive 3. Leaves us with a positive 9/4. Drop everything else down. All right, let's go with moving all the numbers with variables to one side. So let's subtract 3/4 y from both sides. And in order to do that, remember this is an invisible 1. And if we have the invisible 1, it's like 1/1. And we have 3/4. We're subtracting 3/4 from 1/1. We need to make common denominators. Common denominators, of course, is going to be 4. So they have common denominators there. So in order to get the bottom here to 4, we got to multiply by 4, and then we do the same thing on the top. Multiply by 4. And down here at the other one, we're just going to leave it the same. It doesn't change because it already has a denominator of 4. So now we say 4 minus 3, because that's a negative 3/4. 4 minus 3 is a positive 1. And then the bottom number stays the same. So 1y minus 3/4 y is 1/4 y. Drop everything else down. These ones canceled. And we are trying to now move. Guess we didn't need that positive sign in front of 9/4. Now we're trying to move the numbers without variables to the other side. If the numbers with variables are on the left side of the equal sign, we need to move the numbers without variables to the right side. So that means we're going to add 4. The opposite of negative 4 is adding 4. And we're going to add 4 here. Let's go over here to our work. We have 9 over 4, and we're going to add 4 over 1 to it. The common denominator is 4, so this fraction stays the same, but look at this other fraction. It has to change. This bottom number of 1 has to be multiplied by 4 to get 4 on the denominator. So therefore we have to multiply the top by 4, which gives us 16. So now we have 9 plus 16, which makes 25, and the denominators stay the same, 25 over 4. These cancel. You have 1/4 y. Now, how are we going to get rid of multiplying by 1/4? We could divide by 1/4, but in doing so, when we divide fractions, we are really multiplying by the reciprocal. And those cancel out, leaving you with 1y. Multiplying by the reciprocal. Now we can cancel some things out here. I see a 4, and I see a 4. There's a number that goes into both of them, and that would be 4. So 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 4 once. Multiply the top numbers. 25 times 1 is 25, and 1 times 1 is 1. And what's 25 over 1? 25. Okay, that's all we have for that video. I will see you soon to help you out with some of those problems, and I'll see you in the next video also.